Crystal Palace have been on the verge of taking the next step in the Premier League for a couple of seasons now. It's over 10 years since the Eagles were last in the Championship, back when Wilf Zaha was going back and forth between Palace and United, and when it took a penalty from 39-year-old Kevin Phillips to secure promotion back to the top flight. Since then, it's kind of hard to argue that Palace haven't been a model smaller Premier League club. Although it often feels as if they're struggling, they haven't finished below 15th since their return to the Premier League, and they have a couple of top 10 finishes to their name too. Not only that, but they've made some shrewd decisions off the pitch, identifying some of the best affordable young talent, firstly, as in the case of Mark Gahey and Eberechi Eze, to help the team improve, but also in the case of Michael Olise to give the club a big financial boost too. And this money hasn't just gone to lining the pockets of a fat cat billionaire. As we've seen in this most recent transfer window with the additions of Eddie Nketiah, Maxence Lacroix and Ismail Assar, the club are happy to reinvest not only in the squad, but also in the infrastructure of the club too, with plans to expand and renovate Selhurst Park already underway. It seems to me as if Crystal Palace are as well positioned as anyone to take the next step in their Premier League journey, going from a mid-table side, flirting with relegation from time to time, to a true top half side who should be part of the wider conversation for European football season after season. That's what we're going to be trying to achieve in this, our first series of FC25. This is season 1 of our realistic Crystal Palace career mode. Let's get into it. Now, if you're new to the channel, let me just explain how things work here. We cover 1 calendar month per episode, including 1 featured game. These games are completely unedited, and you'll see every kick of the ball from the first to the last whistle. I then play 2 or 3 additional games off camera and show you the highlights. And then finally, we quick sim any remaining fixtures. So today's episode will feature our opening game of the Premier League season as we travel to Brentford away. I'll also be showing you highlights of our home opener against West Ham, as well as our first game in the Carabao Cup against Northampton. We also like to keep things as realistic as possible here on the channel, so I play on 10-minute halves, on legendary difficulty, with full manual controls, and I will be using my custom slider set, which will be available to you guys very soon. Now, ordinarily at this point, I would be going over things like board expectations, which actually seem pretty reasonable. They want us to sign a crucial first-team midfielder or forward and increase the team's experience level by raising the average age. Domestically, they want us to finish mid-table. Making the semi-finals of the FA Cup is maybe a bit of a stretch, but they do want us to finish in a Europa League spot within 2 seasons. However, we finally have the option of turning manager sacking off. Why this hasn't been in the game before now, I have no idea. But that does mean that those board expectations are pretty much meaningless. So one thing we'll be doing to keep this particular series as realistic as possible is talking to ChatGPT. I've set up 2 conversations on ChatGPT, one with Doogie Friedman, our sporting director. He'll be overseeing all transfers both in and out of the club and managing our budget. And another one with the chairman and part owner of Crystal Palace, Steve Parish, who will be assessing our job performance and making other big picture decisions at the club. So throughout the season, we'll be dropping into meetings with Steve and Doogie and working together to try and take Crystal Palace forward, starting here in episode 1 with setting our goals for the upcoming season. So we said, "Hi Steve, thanks for meeting with me ahead of the 2024-25 season. I'm excited to see what we can achieve with a talented squad and the momentum of a top half finish last year. What do you think our expectations should be heading into the new season?" "Hi Oliver, good to see you. Glad to hear your enthusiasm. Is exactly what we need. As for expectations, I think we should aim for consistency. Last season's top 10 finish was great, and we want to build on that. The board is expecting us to secure another top 10 finish this season, but given that this is your first year in charge, I'd say we should balance ambition with realism." So Parish seems happy enough for this to be a foundational year, but he does want European football within a couple of seasons. Also wants us to bring some young players through and maybe make a good cup run to get the fans excited. He also wants to know our thoughts on the squad as it stands. I think we have improved the squad significantly over the summer, but potentially we might need to add another player or two in January. So is there going to be a budget available? Budget-wise, it's going to depend on a few factors: our league position, any player sales, and whether the current squad depth holds up. Parish says if we're in a good position by January and need reinforcements to push for that top 10 finish, he'll do what he can to make the funds available. He's also pretty keen to find out what we're going to be doing tactically this season. I've said we're going to be looking to utilize the depth we've added to be as versatile and flexible in our tactical approach as possible, switching formations and systems depending on the opposition. That's what we need to do if we're going to be successful at the highest levels. So we currently have 4 team sheets set up, a couple of which are ways in which we've seen Crystal Palace play in real life so far, a couple of which are systems that I want to experiment with and utilize this season. Our primary formation probably is going to be this 5-2-3 with a back 5 of Mitchell, Lacroix, Gahey, Chalobah, and Munoz, Wharton, and possibly Doucouré in midfield, with Eze and Mateta up front alongside Ismail Assar. We're going to be utilizing wing play in each of these different team sheets, and the fullbacks in this particular formation are obviously going to be getting forward to support the attack. Eze is going to be cutting inside to support Mateta and try and cause some danger in and around the penalty area. With the addition of Eddie Nketiah, though, we have seen Crystal Palace line up in a 5-3-2 rather than the 5-2-3 recently in real life as well, so we'll be looking to utilize that. It's going to be a 5-3-2 that kind of switches to a 3-1-4-2 with the ball, as Mitchell and Munoz obviously join Wharton and Eze in attack, whilst Doucouré kind of sits back and provides a bit more cover for the back 3. I think this is the system I'm probably most excited to try, though. It's a 4-1-2-1-2 without the ball, so a flat back 4 with Mitchell, Gahey, Chalobah, and Munoz, with Jefferson Lerma at this moment in time sitting just in front of them. We've then got Doucouré and Wharton as box-to-box midfielders, Eze in the number 10, which is probably the role that suits him best, just behind Mateta and Nketiah. But when we win possession of the ball, again, we shift to a 3 at the back. So Jefferson Lerma, the CDM, drops between the 2 centre-backs to form a back 3. Mitchell and Munoz get forward to support the attack. So this one shifts into a 3-4-1-2, with Eze again still maintaining that number 10 position just behind the front 2. And then finally, we've got a second 4 at the back formation, this time a 4-3-3 holding. It's going to morph again into a 3 at the back, this time a 3-4-3. So we've got the same back 4. Once more, we've got Jefferson Lerma in that CDM role. Eze is out wide this time, however, rather than in the number 10, and Eddie Nketiah doesn't feature. But in this particular formation, again, Munoz, Mitchell, they'll support the attack. Eze, like in the 5-2-3, is going to be cutting inside. He's going to be a wide playmaker, causing issues in and around the penalty area. Doucouré and Wharton once more in those box-to-box roles in the middle of the park. So we'll be trying to make full use of those various systems over the course of the season, but I'm also interested to see what other expectations Steve Parish has in mind for us. He mentioned bringing some young players through the academy to the first team. He also mentioned potentially going on a cup run this season. So cup-wise, Steve Parish wants a quarter-final finish in the FA Cup, quarter-final or semi-final-ish for the Carabao Cup. He mentioned 2 or 3 first-team players coming through the academy as well. These aren't the clearest of expectations, though. So we've said, with all due respect, Steve, I work best when I'm given clear and specific goals to meet. I appreciate football is unpredictable, but can you make these expectations a bit more concrete? He's done exactly that. We need to bring 2 academy players into the first team. They need to make a minimum of 10 appearances each this season, whether as starters or coming off the bench. And then in the cup competitions, he's nailed it down. Quarterfinals at minimum in the FA Cup, and then we're aiming to reach the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. So for the most part, those expectations seem pretty reasonable, and I think we've got the tools to achieve most, if not all of them. Although reaching the final 4 of both the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup will probably be a tall task. I think we can achieve that in one of those 2 competitions. We will be expanding on these objectives as well, though, starting first with some rewards and some punishments, depending on whether or not we achieve those objectives. So if we do manage to meet these custom objectives, we can reward ourselves in some way at the end of the season. but if we fail to meet them, we need to impose some kind of a punishment. For example, our goal is to finish top 10 in the Premier League this season. If we manage to finish somewhere between 1st and 8th, then that means the club's top players really see the progress being made and they want to stick around to be a part of it. So we get to keep both Eberechi Eze and Mark Gahey. If we finish right around 10th, so 9th to 12th position, there are some promising signs that the club is moving forward, but European football's not exactly on the horizon. We need to sell one of those two players. We have to sell either Eze or Gahey. If our season is a complete failure and we finish somewhere between 13th and 20th, the club is obviously still some distance, even from top half contention, so we have to sell both Eze and Gahey. So there's going to be a lot riding on this season, and I'm going to need your guys' help to come up with some more rewards and punishments. So we need to play 2 youth players in 10 games this season. What do we get if we do that? What punishment is imposed if we fail to achieve that? Same with the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup objectives. What do we get if we make the quarterfinals, make the semi-finals? How should we be impacted if we don't? So get those suggestions for rewards and punishments in the comments below. Whilst you're there, I'd also like one additional custom objective this season from the comments section. So what else should we be looking to achieve this season? It could be something to do with domestic success. It could be something to do with player acquisition. It could be the wider experience of the club or even the fan experience in some way. So get any suggestions down in the comments below. We've got one final custom objective we need to try and meet this season. And we, of course, need a reward and a punishment to go along with it as well. Looking over the Palace squad, I really do think we can achieve some big things this season. Dean Henderson is a more than solid goalkeeper, and Matt Turner, a new signing, I believe on loan, is a more than adequate backup. Defensively, I think Crystal Palace look incredible. Munoz, Chalobah, Gahey, Lacroix, Mitchell, the back 5, with guys like Riyad, Chris Richards, of course, not even making the starting 11. Nathaniel Klein should be a solid backup. We don't really have anything behind Tyrick Mitchell at left back, so that could be one area we look to improve. Midfield, we've got just a plethora of different options. We should be able to be really versatile in midfield. We've got kind of box-to-box players like Decore and Wharton. We've obviously got those more kind of playmaking talents. Not only Eberechi Eze, but Daichi Kamada as well, who has joined, I believe, from Lazio, but won the Europa League with Oliver Glasner at Eintracht Frankfurt. We've also got kind of true wingers in the form of Ismail Assar, Will Hughes, Jefferson Lerma, Franca, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but this guy looks like a really exciting young talent as well. Up front, I think we're a little short. We've got Mateta, of course, and the new addition, Eddie Nketiah. No more Odsonne Edouard, and nothing really beyond Mateta and Nketiah to speak of. So again, that could be an area that we look to strengthen. And there's not a huge amount of depth beyond the game day squad. I'm really confident in our starting 11 and our bench. Beyond that, we don't have too much to speak of in terms of real talent, with the exception of a couple of really intriguing and exciting young players, Roscoe Torres and William Davidson. Torres is a dynamic and forward-thinking left back or left wing back from Venezuela, very much in the mold of Real Madrid's Marcelo. So although we don't have a huge amount of depth behind Tyrick Mitchell, this guy is certainly in with a shot of being his backup in season 1, and who knows beyond that. Whereas William Davidson is an old school CDM, very much in the Roy Keane mold, but much bigger, much stronger than Roy Keane ever was. Tough in the tackle, no nonsense, gets the fundamentals right. And each of those players are creations of members of the channel. So if you want a chance to feature in future career mode saves, check out the 12th Man memberships on the channel homepage. But with all that being said, I think we are ready to jump into our first game of the season against Brentford. No Ivan Toney, of course. So Brian Mbermo starts up front. He's flanked by Keane Lewis-Potter and Kevin Schade. A strong midfield 3 in Norgard, Janau and Jensen. And then a big, strong back 4 with Aya starting at left back today. It's been a pretty poor start to the season for Crystal Palace in real life. I've just seen them draw. What is going on with Oli Glasner's hair? by the way. I guess that kind of looks like his face, but why does he have long plaited hair? Regardless, just watch Crystal Palace draw 0-0 with Manchester United, their third draw of the season, and those are the only 3 points they've managed to pick up so far. Haven't won a game yet in real life. Hopefully we can get off to a slightly better start here in season 1. And this was not the Oli Glasner that I saw on the touchline in that game against Manchester United. I mean, as for Oli Glasner's 11, this is what we're going with for our first game of the season. Dean Henderson in goal. Back five of Munoz, Chalobah, Gehi, Lacroix and Mitchell. Doucouré and Wharton are going to get the nod today. But those two in midfield are going to be very fluid, going to be chopping and changing. Those two spots are very much up for grabs. And then it's going to be Sarr, Eze, supporting Mateta up front. So without further ado, let's head over to the G-Tech Community Stadium for this game, which will be preceded for the first time in over a year by a full lineup intro. So we are up in the commentary box at the G-Tech for the opening game of the season, where we are looking to get off to a better start here in season 1 than Crystal Palace have managed in real life so far. Just 3 points for the Eagles in their first 5 games, I believe, to start their new Premier League season, as Tyrick Mitchell immediately beats his man, gets into the box and almost finds the head of Mateta. Doucouré can't quite win the header to win the second ball. Adam Wharton is going to strike from range, easily blocked by the Brentford defence. Bright start here though. We're looking to get a win within our first 5 games of the season. Certainly. Great challenge from Mark Gehi, Lacroix, Doucouré and Chalobah. Too much going on ahead of him, so he just finds Doucouré once more. And that's a really loose pass from Doucouré. Looking for Ismaila Sarr on the right-hand side. Ismaila Sarr trying to beat Rico Henry, but it's a solid tackle from the Brentford defender. Rico Henry, a player I like a lot. Quite an underrated Premier League player, I would say. And it does look like Brentford actually aren't going to be playing the side that we saw in the pre-match report. And Burmo seems to be playing on the right-hand side rather than through the middle, as the scouting report suggested. Visser playing out on the left. And it looks like it's a new signing up front. Not too familiar with Igor Thiago, who seems to be the striker up front for Brentford today, who looks as if he's about to open the scoring for Brentford today. So I was not familiar with his game, but I'm quickly becoming familiar. 7 minutes into our opening game of the season, Brentford have the lead. And it was of our own doing, really. Gave the ball away to Brian Mbeumo far too easily. Mark Gehi had to come across to cover for that defensive mistake by Maxence Lacroix. That left an easy cutback to Thiago, who makes no mistake with the finish. Brentford not missing Ivan Toney really at all. Igor Thiago Rodriguez. No idea who this guy is. But he's made an impact for what I assume is his new side immediately. Maxence Lacroix the same. Unfortunately, one of those players has had a positive impact for his new side. One has had a distinctly negative impact for his new side. It was Lacroix's mistake that led to that Brentford goal. And his next touch of the football is to put the ball out of play for a Brentford throw. Ismaila Sarr, Munoz outside of him. Sarr delayed the pass for far too long. And that allowed the Brentford defender to get in and win the ball back. Munoz recovers really well, though. And again, there's just nothing on. He just has to release the ball to Chalobah. He gives the ball away. Carried away by Dean Henderson. We are all over the place at the back. Oh, and Thomas Frank finally has a face scan. Thank God for that. I mean, it doesn't look... I mean, is that even a face scan, or is that one of the new cranium heads? I think that might be a cranium rather than a face scan. Because I don't think it looked enough like Thomas Frank for it to be a face scan. It looked somewhat like him, but different enough that I think they can't have scanned his face, and they must have designed that. But it looks obviously far better than the FC24 models. What's going on with Oli Glasner as well? I have no idea why he's got like lower back length hair that's being plaited. I have no clue. Ismaila Sarr wins the header, makes the run into the channel where Munoz tries to find him. The ball skips off the wet turf. Sarr can't quite find Mateta. Ismaila Sarr once more cuts inside onto his left foot and strikes with his right, and it's a very good effort. Looked like it would have nestled into the bottom corner had the goalkeeper not made the save. Tyrick Mitchell now. Eze wanting the ball inside. Receives it, finds Tyrick Mitchell once more. We need Mateta in the box, really. Eze finds Tyrick Mitchell once again. Mateta in the box, can't win the header. Decore finds Adam Wharton, bit of space, manages to find Eberechi Eze with that space, but the shot is straight at, it's Vladimarson in goal for Brentford. So that's another change to the lineup that we were expecting to see. It was Flecken in the pre-match report. So Brentford thrown us all manner of curveballs heading into this game. Two men over on this left-hand side, one of whom is Tyrick Mitchell, and it's a perfectly placed ball. Not only into the stride of Tyrick Mitchell, but then from Tyrick Mitchell into the stride of Eberechi Eze. He couldn't quite find the run of Jean-Philippe Mateta. He's going to be almost certainly our main striker this season. And I mean, he kind of has to be. We do, of course, have the new signing, Eddie Nketiah. As Mark Gahey finds Ismaila Sarr. Nketiah feels to me more of a striker that needs a partner. You know, a guy like Mateta, a big, strong target man. You can play the ball into his feet. Seems like he can cope a little better on his own up front. Eddie Nketiah, of course, has played up front by himself. Certainly for Arsenal at a variety of times. But he's more of that kind of poacher, that fox in the box, rather than that well-rounded, do-it-all target man style forward. So Mateta suits this particular formation much better, I would say, than Eddie Nketiah. But Nketiah will certainly get his opportunities to prove himself in a Palace shirt this season. Didn't get too many opportunities at Arsenal. Beyond that spell where Gabriel Jesus was out injured, and Nketiah was the kind of true starter up front for Arsenal. But that was just a period. It was a period of a handful of months, really. And beyond that, it's been substitute appearances and cup games, really, for Nketiah in an Arsenal shirt. So we'll see what he can do in the red and blue of Palace. Pretty comfortable start to the game for Brentford. I would say we've probably edged them on the balance of play. They have created by far the most clear-cut opportunity of the game so far, though. And they've taken it. Done well to keep it to just the one goal, though. And to grow into the game a little more in terms of our attacking play. Doucouré driving forward from midfield. The run of Eberechi not the most useful. It's going to be tough to find the best way to utilise players like Eze this season. Good save, Dean Henderson at the near post. Of course, we're playing Eze out wide today. It's the same really for Kamada. Both, I'm not overly familiar with Kamada, but both, I think you want to play in a number 10 role rather than out wide. However, obviously you can only play with one number 10. Well, I mean, I guess you can play with two, but really you have to build the entire system around that if you're going to be doing that kind of thing. And we're going to have to tailor the system to include a number 10 if we're going to be doing that. Crystal Palace have obviously invested heavily at centre-back, bringing in Chalobah and Lacroix. Oliver Glasner does like to play three centre-backs as well. Really nice ball into the channel for Ismail Assar to chase. Can he find Mateta on this occasion? Not quite. Doucouré recycles, finds Munoz. Sarr once more. Doucouré. Adam Wharton strikes from range. Again, it's pretty much straight at the Brentford goalkeeper. Again, well worked though. It's a pretty good passing move. Ismail Assar robs the Brentford defender. Jean-Philippe Mateta puts it wide. That was our opportunity. Best opportunity of the first half by far, and that's so close. Goalkeeper nowhere near it. I wouldn't be surprised if that skimmed the post on the way past. Just the air from the ball flying past the post would have taken any dew off the post. It was that close. But as I was saying, with three at the back, it's tough to play a number 10. Good challenge, Adam Wharton. However, we will be experimenting with a number of different formations this season. That 4-4-2 diamond that morphs into the 3-4-1-2, I'm very intrigued by. Thiago wins the header, and Burmo finds Jan out. Too much space on the edge of the box for Jensen. It's a good challenge, though, to dispossess Johan Visser. And we could come away here through Doucouré and Ismail Assar, who again makes the run in behind. Dealt with well by Rico Henry, though. Ismail Assar certainly not giving up the chase. And he's certainly got the pace to challenge Rico Henry to be the first to that ball. Doesn't quite win out, though. Better defending by Lacroix. Really good defending on that occasion, actually. Perhaps it's just taken him a little while to settle into the game. Gehi finds Lacroix. Nope, he doesn't. He finds Ismail Assar. Munoz with a good run. Deflected off a Brentford player and out for a throw, though. I'd like an equaliser before half-time if we can get it. I have tried my best to add a couple of additional tactics to this particular team sheet onto the roof of the net. That looked dangerous for a moment. So I'm still getting used to the new FCIQ updates. So we can see the additional formations there. I've got chase for when we are a goal down, like in this particular situation. And I've got hold for when we are a goal to the good and we're looking just to hold on to that lead. So potentially for the final couple of minutes or so of the first half, in fact I might not even get a chance to do that. Jean-Philippe Mateta, what a ball from Tyrick Mitchell. Mateta's got a finish, and he does. We don't need to utilise the slightly more attacking tactics. Oh, that looks so ridiculous. I hope they fix that and it will apply to current saves, because I can't look at that on the sideline all season long. That looks absolutely ludicrous. But Jean-Philippe Mateta Grabs the equaliser just before half-time. It's a really good run from Mateta and a really good pass from Tyrick Mitchell. I imagine the goalkeeper probably thought Mateta was going to go across him to the far post. Instead, he absolutely fires it past the Brentford keeper at the near post to level the scoring. And we said we wanted an equaliser before half-time, and we have got an equaliser before half-time. And if we can shape up slightly in the second half defensively, fancy our chances to go on and win this game. Wharton finds Ismail Assar, can't quite bring it down. The ball is kind of hanging up in the air just ever so slightly. That's really poorly judged from Trevor Chalobah. Gahey comes across so well to deal with it. Can't clear his lines though. Oh, that's so well worked. And Brentford have the lead once more. What a move. Gahey just needed to clear his lines. He'd done so well to win the ball from Jan Visser. And we just allowed him to win it back. And from there, it's an incredible move. Yeah, I feel the same, Dean Henderson. I feel exactly the same. Look at that one-touch football. Henderson nowhere near it. It sneaks inside the near post. Brian Mbeumo stretching to reach it as well. Disappointing. We will be a goal down at half-time after all. But as I was saying, and it's the last kick as well. It's the last kick. But as I was saying, if we can shape up defensively, I think we can go on and win this game. I feel slightly worse about that prediction now that we do have to come from a goal behind once more. But opening game of the season, away from home. No, I said I wanted to win within 5 games. I would be happy with a point in this one, though. So back out for the second half here at the G-Tech, where we will be stepping up into our attacking game plan, basically. We no longer have the attacking, ultra-attacking, defensive game plans. You've got a bit more flexibility this year. You can pretty much create your own. Eberechi Eze. Tyrick Mitchell. Offside, I thought he was. Nicely worked down that left-hand side, though. So, chase is basically our attacking game plan. Slightly more aggressive player roles. Same formation, the 5-2-3. When we drop into our hold game plan, if we're trying to defend a lead, Eze and Sarr would drop in to form a flat midfield 4. So just a straight 5-4-1 formation. And again, the player role's slightly different. I think I do like this change for FC 25. It seems to be, as we see in Mbeumo, secure Brentford's lead once more. It seems to be a little bit buggy at the moment, just in terms of setting the tactics and having the game actually remember what those tactics are when you set an additional tactic within that same team sheet. When I set the chase and hold tactics, for example, when I went back to my default tactics, they had then been overridden. So things like that are going to have to be worked out. But I do actually really like this system. I think it is going to be better than the ones in previous years. Tyrick Mitchell. Mateta straight at the keeper. So much space to the keeper's right-hand side to put that header. Just had to go back where it came from. And I mean, it did go back where it came from, but nowhere near enough. The goal was gaping on that side to the keeper's right. And we will try and deliver to the near post here. We have, of course, been able to set our target men and our far post runners this year as well. Gahey's strike is straight at the keeper. Brentford still looking relatively comfortable. We do feel more aggressive in this particular system, though. Slightly higher line in this one too. Munoz, well found. Good delivery. Nobody in there. That's where Mateta needs to be. That's probably where Eddie Nketiah would have been. It's a poor pass, Tyrick Mitchell. Mateta's caused some issues for Brentford today. I think we will be seeing an appearance from Eddie Nketiah at some point today, though. Oh, and it's a good block from Maxence Ducroix. I thought for a moment the referee had given a penalty. And by the sounds of things, the Brentford fans want a penalty. It was offside. So it's a moot point. But how you can call for a penalty there, I have no idea. But I am somewhat scarred from FC 24 with some of the ridiculous penalties that were given against me in that game. And I thought it was happening again. Ismail Assar can't quite steal it away from Rico Henry. Mateta closing down. Adam Wharton doing the same. Korechi Eze can't get there, and Tyrick Mitchell is beaten. Gay has to come across. This is something else that is potentially a little bit buggy at the moment as well. I want Gahey playing in the centre because we have him set to step forward to be part of the build-up play, and I want Gahey to be that player specifically. But when we switch to our chase game plan, it's Lacroix who's playing in the centre, as you can see here. And it's Gahey on the left, but there's no real way to change that because you can't adjust the lineup in those additional tactics as you could with the attacking and the ultra-attacking lineups in previous years. You have the one kind of squad formation screen, and the only things you can adjust are the actual tactics themselves. So players kind of just go wherever it makes sense for them to go. But why our three centre-backs have slightly changed positions, I'm not sure. That's ball from Eberechi Eze. Gives the ball away. Visser finds Thiago. He will turn, finds Brian and Burme. That's a loose touch though, and Tyrick Mitchell gets in to steal it away. Adam Wharton. Nice little turn. So that's such a heavy touch. Decore, what a ball that is to Ismail Assar though. Cuts inside. Oh, it was a good run from Mateta. Again, it's a heavy touch from Sarr. The ball potentially a little difficult to control on the slippery surface. Good challenge, Chalobah. But we are getting a little bit impatient here. Starting to force things just a little. Korechi Eze. Tyrick Mitchell. Mateta needs to get in the box. He is on target forward. Why he's not taken up a position in the box slightly earlier, I'm not sure. It's a really good shot from Eberechi Eze from distance. Saved once more by the Brentford goalkeeper, and again slightly too comfortably as well. We haven't quite tested the Brentford keeper as much as we would have liked in the situations we have managed to create in today's game. Wharton. Tyrick Mitchell, and that's such a bad pass from Wharton. Just gives it straight to Mbermo. Lacroix is actually on the left-hand side this time. Big clearance from Dean Henderson, who falls on his behind in the meantime. And as we approach the final 20 minutes of the game, I think it is going to be time to make a change or two. I would have made them slightly earlier, but simply haven't had an opportunity to do that. The ball's not gone out of play for quite some time. Eberechi Eze. Tyrick Mitchell outside him. Instead, he cuts inside. Drives at Brentford. Loose touch. Sees the chance somewhat disappear. Munoz. Mateta, get in the box. Why are you not in the box? You're our only striker and you're on target forward. And you're on the edge of the box. Crystal Palace to make a change or two. It's just going to be the one. Roslov to come off for Hickey. Oli Glasner preparing a change or two as well. So 2 changes for Oli Glasner and Crystal Palace. It is going to be Mateta off for Eddie Nketiah. And it's going to be Kamada on for Decore as well. So an attacking substitution in the centre of midfield, as Kamada is going to look to get on the ball and dictate and hopefully create an opportunity to grab an equaliser once more here at the G-Tech. Johan Visser, it's a good block in the end by Chalobah and parried away by Dean Henderson as the ball falls to Thiago, the Brentford striker. Brentford do deliver the corner through Brian and Burmo towards the near post, where I think that's Lacroix heads away for another Brentford opportunity. Burmo delivers once more. Thiago on the turn. Carried away well by Dean Henderson. And then just hooks clear by, I think, Tyrick Mitchell. Munoz can't quite win it back. And Burmo turns away from Lacroix. It's carried away again by Dean Henderson. And Tyrick Mitchell hooks clear before it goes out for another Brentford corner. Adam Wharton can't win the ball though. Saved again by Dean Henderson. Brentford looking to put this game to bed. Kamada sets Munoz on his way. Just gets caught under his feet a little there. Gay on the left-hand side once more. Tyrick Mitchell. Good run from Eberechi Eze. Dropped into that channel by Tyrick Mitchell. Eze can't quite get there. Does force a mistake from Hickey though. So it's going to be a Crystal Palace throw. Tyrick Mitchell into the box where Nketiah lies in wait. And his header unfortunately goes wide. Mateta looking on. He would have loved to have that opportunity. Although he had a fairly similar one earlier in the half. And he couldn't make it count either. Okay, he just about deals with that. Adam Wharton. Nice little turn initially. Into the path of Kamada. Good little run from Eddie Nketiah. But that just opens up space for Ismaila Sarr, who drives. Pulls it across goal. Blocked by Rico Henry and out for a Crystal Palace throw. There is Munoz. Twisting and turning away from his marker. Ismaila Sarr just about gets the ball into the box. Headed clear by Brentford. Kamada will recycle. And find Munoz once more. There's Ismaila Sarr again. Eddie Nketiah on the edge of the box. Really poor touch. Really, really poor touch. It's been tough to play in these conditions today. The pitch very, very wet, and it has been difficult to bring the ball under control as a result. Mitchell does well just to see Brian Mbeumo off, and Brian Mbeumo is offside. Let's make another change or two here. So it's going to be Will Hughes to come on for Adam Wharton and Jefferson Lerma. So two new centre midfielders, new centre midfield pairing. Ismaila Sarr also leaves the field, so Daichi Kamada is going to be playing right wing for the remainder of the game. There is Will Hughes, turns away from his man immediately. Good run from Nketiah, we just can't get it out of our feet quickly enough. Perfect run from Nketiah. But Hughes just couldn't get it out of his feet and play him in behind. Nketiah couldn't quite hold the run for long enough to give Will Hughes the time to do that. Nice little ball. Good challenge, though, from Jefferson Lerma. Lacroix finds Gahey. Tyrick Mitchell tries to pull away from Brian Mbeumo. We know the pace that Mbeumo has, though. Switch of play from Gahey to Chalobah. Really running out of time now into the final 5 minutes of the game. There's Kamada. Again, twisting and turning. Manages to pull away from Rico Henry. It's a really good ball into the feet of Eberechi Eze. Twisting and turning himself. Can't find too much room though, but does drop the ball into the path of Kamada. It's a good challenge from Rico Henry. Just preparing to pull the ball back across goal with Kamada. Munoz beaten by Visser. This isn't ideal. That is though. Really good challenge from Munoz. He finds Chalobah. Munoz once more. There's Will Hughes. Jefferson Lerma. Needs to get the ball forward. Blocked by Brentford, but it does fall into the feet of Tyrick Mitchell. Brian Mbeumo doing such good defensive work. Mark Gahey, big switch of play. Finds Kamada. Munoz on the overlapping run. And we just can't quite get the players forward. Haven't really been able to provide any support to the likes of Mateta and Nketiah and those wide players. And that is an issue with this particular system. We are kind of relying on those centre midfielders to do a lot of work, both defensively and going forward. feet from Kamada. Oh, it's a good effort. Can't quite find Munoz. And that's probably the final opportunity of the game. Visser. We can win the ball back here. We may be able to craft one final opportunity. Will Hughes is going to have to drive forward and put the ball into the box. He has time to do the first, but not the second. And it is going to be defeat in the opening game of the season. Goals from Thiago and Brian and Burmo in the first half secure all 3 points for Brentford. It was a decent performance, a fairly spirited performance with some promising signs. Defensively, we didn't look spectacular. And going forward, we looked, I would say, decent at best. So, some positives to take from the game for sure. But areas to improve just as much. So an opportunity to build on that performance immediately as we take on West Ham in our second game of the episode in our home opener in the Premier League season. Couple of changes ahead of this one. Chris Richards comes into the back line in place of Maxence Lacroix, and Daichi Kamada comes in at right wing in place of Ismaila Sarr. And we certainly did build on that performance, putting West Ham under pressure early. Jean-Philippe Mateta heading wide from a corner within 5 minutes. And Eberechi Eze finding a bit of space on the edge of the box, but sending his shot narrowly wide of the West Ham goal. The better pitch conditions did allow us to play some better football as well. And when Will Hughes' shot was blocked by a West Ham defender, Chris Richards had the goal at his mercy, but unfortunately also put the ball wide. And you already know what happens next. We failed to take the lead in the first half. West Ham came out in the second half with the bit between their teeth, and Jared Bowen did open the scoring for the away side. We continued to press for an equaliser though. Eddie Nketiah coming on and turning a really dangerous shot towards goal. Areola equal to this one though, which allowed West Ham to break, and again through Jared Bowen, double their lead late in the game, about 5 minutes from time. This pretty much looked like the dagger. And although Eberechi Eze did grab a goal just moments from the final whistle, it would only be a consolation. One of the better consolation goals you will ever see, though, curled into the far corner from the edge of the box. But although we edged West Ham in terms of possession and dominated them in terms of shots on goal, our play being far more dangerous than their own, all they really had was counter-attacks through Jared Bowen and Mohamed Kudus. It's the away side that come away with all 3 points. And there's several more changes to the lineup for our third and final game of the episode as we travel to Northampton for our first Carabao Cup fixture of the season. Matt Turner comes in goal. Riyadh, Rob Holding, and youngster Roscoe Torres all start at the back. Torres making his debut for Crystal Palace. William Davidson also making his debut in the centre of midfield alongside Jefferson Lerma. Ismaila Sarr and the captain for today, Eberechi Eze, join Eddie Nketiah up front. And it was the debutant Roscoe Torres who got us off to the perfect start in this game, marauding down the left-hand side, slipping the ball inside to Eberechi Eze, who tucked it neatly into the far corner to make it 1-0 Palace within 5 minutes. We almost had a second goal moments later. Jefferson Lerma turning the ball towards goal from the edge of the box, but this one was saved by the Northampton Town goalkeeper. It wouldn't take long for that second goal to arrive though, and it was Roscoe Torres once more with the assist, this time picking out Eddie Nketiah with a pinpoint cross into the box. Nketiah's finish equally pinpoint, back where it came from. And on the stroke of half an hour, we would have a third goal. Maxence Lacroix getting his first goal for Crystal Palace from an Eberechi Eze corner. Goalkeeper probably should have done better on this one. The header from Lacroix fairly close to him, but it does beat the keeper to make it 3-0. And as if things couldn't get any worse for Northampton Town, they conceded a fourth goal directly from a goal kick. The Northampton goalkeeper playing it out short to his centre-back. He was caught napping by Fransar, who tucked it away for the fourth goal in the second half. And the icing on the cake would be this, the fifth goal from Ismaila Sarr. An excellent finish, just tucked neatly inside the far post. Power on the strike from the right winger. So we do manage to get a win in episode 1 after all. Not exactly the most difficult of opposition, but with Steve Parish's objective expectation for us this season of making the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. It's going to be an important win to get that cup run kick started. It's not been the best way to get the season kick started, though, here in episode 1. A pretty disappointing month, all things told, and a month that's eerily similar to Crystal Palace's real life August. They lost 2-1 to Brentford to open the season, just as we did. They lost 2-0 to West Ham in real life rather than 2-1, and they beat Norwich 4-0 in the Carabao Cup. So a very similar start to Crystal Palace in real life. We will be hoping to go 1, 2, 3 points better than Crystal Palace in real life in the month of September. They drew with both Chelsea, well, with all three of Chelsea, Leicester and Manchester United. I'm hoping we can get at least one win in here somewhere, probably against Leicester City by the looks of it. But tough month of September with those 3 fixtures, in addition to a trip to Goodison Park to take on Everton. And then it's going to be Brentford once more. A tough draw in the Carabao Cup already so early in the competition. So that'll do it for episode 1 of our realistic Crystal Palace career mode. Some tough results in today's episode and some tough fixtures in the next one, where hopefully we can pick up our first Premier League win, progress to the next round of the FA Cup, and go on to bigger and better things as the season progresses. So that'll do it for this one. I hope to see you in the next. Take it easy.